You've spent a lot of time learning and reading and discovering about the district's philosophy of 21st century competencies, about what's important as far as a collaborative classroom and collaborative activities. You've also learned perhaps some new things about the equipment and hardware that you and your students have available to you, your Chromebooks, your iPads. You have hopefully learned a little bit about some of the software that's available in Google Drive, the collaborative features of a shared Google Doc, and some of the other tools that are available there. What we would like for you to do to end this class is to take what you have learned, or perhaps what you already know, and create 3 lessons that give your students the opportunity to collaborate and to communicate at different levels. And I'm going to just give you a brief overview of what those lessons are going to look like. First of all, we would like for you to concentrate on communication and collaboration among your students in your classroom. So, the first lesson that you will create to end this course is going to be an activity that gives your students the opportunity to connect with someone, with others in your classroom to work collaboratively. The second lesson that you'll create is going to take that level of communication and collaboration a little further, and you will create your second activity to provide an opportunity for your students to collaborate and to connect with others in GISD. This could be a classroom on your campus. It could be a classroom across town at a different school. As long as your students are collaborating and connecting and communicating with someone outside your classroom, that's the goal here. So we want to be sure that we have opportunities created for those connections to be made. Our third lesson is going to be an activity that you create where your students are given the chance to connect and to communicate with someone outside of Granbury ISD. This could be students at another school. Outside of our own school district. It could be a connection with an expert in the world having something to do with what you're teaching. It could be a connection with a community member that could add some value to the lesson that you are teaching. As long as your connection is made outside of Granbury ISD, where your students are given the chance to connect there. To help you sort of organize your thoughts, you will be using sort of a lesson template. I'm going to give you a little peek at what that's going to look like, and then you'll get your own copy of this after you go back to Google Classroom. You're going to give us some basic information, your name and what you teach and the grade level, and then you're going to just write a brief summary of what this activity will look like, what your students will do, and who they will make a connection with. And then you're going to think about what evidence are you going to see that tells you that your students are collaborating, doing collaborative work, and actually having some productive connection with the people that you have offered them the chance to connect with. You will also think about and respond to the question, what do you expect your students to learn from this collaborative activity? What does this expert or this other class across town bring to your lesson? And don't forget about the intangibles. What kinds of qualities are your students going to be developing to help them be better at connecting with others outside your classroom, or even among their peers in your classroom, if that's the lesson that you're working on. We're going to ask you to tell us which devices that you're going to use. You will be asked to use one or the other, Chromebooks or iPads. And if your students are going to be allowed to use their personal devices, we're going to ask you to indicate that too. I'm going to ask you to determine which of the Google tools will be used to support the collaborative work that your students are going to do. And just check one of those off. If you intend to use more than one, certainly check all that you hope that they'll use. And then if your students are using your document camera, your smartboard in some way, or Screencastify, a little tool that you may have not learned it new in this course, but certainly we hope that you've had some experience with Screencastify. And know that Screencastify is available to your students. So if you are going to incorporate any of these other tools for your students to use, not as a presentation tool that you're going to use, but tools that your students are going to use in the connective and collaborative activity. We want you to indicate those. So you'll have a little lesson plan template for each of the 3 lessons, and then you will do a little screencast to talk about your lesson and explain how you're going to use it in your classroom, and you'll be ready to finish up.